Welcome to our What's New in DTools Cloud webinar. We're so glad to have you joining us today. We have a lot of exciting things to cover, so we're going to dive straight in. But before we get into the application, just a little introduction to who we are as a company and what to expect in our session today. So we've been the market leader in system integration software since 1998, and we're really excited to still be here and serving our system integrator community. There are three main areas where we hope you experience value. Our goal is to speed up the sales process, to make your process more repeatable, and also lay the groundwork for a process that's easy to scale. So when new team members join, they can hit the ground running. And the good news is DTools Cloud is an end-to-end solution. So we want to keep more of your activity inside of the DTools Cloud ecosystem. And that way we reduce the number of applications that you touch during your day-to-day activity, and ultimately that boosts efficiency. It really starts with data. And one of the biggest benefits, in my opinion, is the DTools product library. We're going to give you access to millions of products, right? So our hope is 75 to 80% of what you need is going to be inside of our library. And you can always import your own products if you decide, or just create new products on the fly. Now, layered on top of that is managed pricing. So we really encourage you to connect to the different brands and suppliers that you procure your equipment from, in hopes that it will help reduce the amount of time that you spend managing data, right? So once you connect to a supplier and set the application to automatic price updates, you don't have to worry about it. Once your cost changes, it will flow in and stay up to date inside your catalog. All right. And then labor. There's lots of different ways that companies like to sell and present time. We have all those methods available within the application, but our default is to tie it to the equipment. It's a very set it and forget it approach. So when you add a product, it's going to automatically bring the labor with it. And we're going to give you a base, right? It's just a suggestion. So you can leave what we suggest, or if you know straight away exactly the duration, that it's going to take to install, just make that update. But all of this working together sets the foundation for the application. Now, there's some CRM available as well. So all of the activity that goes along with closing business, right? You got to enter the lead, and it has notes, and you got to schedule the next step, and there's lots of stuff. And so we have a good way of tracking that. And then how does that impact your overall sales pipeline, electronic acceptance sign, and a lot more features to help you quickly and efficiently close business. Now, with the proposal, there's a couple different proposal templates that you can use. My favorite are the multimedia ones, and these are the proposals that the customer can engage with. Our hope is we're trying to go beyond the printed page, right? We want it to feel very fresh, very modern, and some of the tools that we have help the client make faster decisions. Like what you're looking at here is an alternate set. So based on the product that I'm recommending, they can choose that one, or they can choose a product that's more cost effective, or maybe the best in class product, right? The high end option. So we do this on the package level, we do it on the product level, but having the client pick what they want, speeds up their decision making, and also reduces the amount of time that you spend going back and forth, removing items, making small tweaks during the sales process. So this is one of my favorites, and there's a lot more that we're going to get into today. But our overall goal is we really want to empower them to self-serve, because once again, becoming active in the buying process shortens the sales life cycle. All right, now visual quoting. Drawings have always been our differentiator in the industry. I'm sorry if I'm biased, but nobody draws like we do. Um, and visual quoting is just an extension of that. We've built our own browser based drawing environment, and this is just another way to build a quote. You can approach the quoting process in a very line item style, or if you're more graphic by nature, you can approach it visually, which is uploading a floor plan or building your own floor plan, locking it down, and then stamping icons on top. Every time you add a product, it adds it to the bill of materials. So it really is, you're accomplishing two goals here. You're building out the bomb, and then at the end, you also have a graphic document to share with the customer, which improves communication. Sometimes it may not always land where you think it's landing with the end user. So this helps them kind of wrap their head around the solution that you're proposing, and they can also understand that you get their needs and it's all gravy and we can get the signature and close business. So it's really a sales tool. And now service, a lot of organizations that we meet with have um, service departments. Maybe you're a newer company or just kind of dipping your toe into the service pool. The good news is we have the suite of features to support you. Our service management suite is twofold. It is the ability to sell a service contract or multiple service contracts. That's a newer feature. Um, and the proposal at the same time. So we hope that by having them think about what that post installation relationship looks like is very healthy. And also, they can subscribe to your preventative maintenance plans day one. On the flip side, their service calls, right? This is the break fix workflow where someone calls in, we open up a ticket, and we close it out. So, service management, we're going to dig into today as well. And DTools payments. If you haven't heard, about 4 months ago, or when we now became our own payment processor. So this is another way to keep that arm of your business in the Deep Tools ecosystem. So when the customer electronically accepts your proposal, they can actually pay right then and there with the initial deposit via credit card or ACH e-check. And the best part is we're passing those convenience fees onto the customer. So you now can rest assured that they are, it's fully transparent, right? And they want to use their credit card and get their points. That cost is now no longer on your end, and we can elegantly pass that on to the customer. So we're really excited about that. Now, switching from pre-sale to post-sale project management, this is now we have to deliver, right? So we have this whole set of features from creating project plans to scheduling tasks, ordering equipment, managing change, and tracking time against the project. So if you sell a job in my screenshot here, at 147 hours. Every time your technicians clock in and out from the job site will deduct from the overall amount of time sold. So you can kind of see at a glance estimated versus actual and how you're trending as you approach project completion. And then one of our newer features we're going to dig into today is job costing, right? The impact of the labor and how it has on the overall job. So you'll be able to see how your business is performing compared to how you're estimating. Speaking of business, our business intelligence suite is here. Our goal has always been bigger than the proposal and the drawing and the managing of the activity, but the platform to run the business. So there's a lot of granular data that we're tracking, a lot of meaningful data that we're tracking, and we want to aggregate that and present it back to you in a way that allows you to measure the health and the performance of the business. So we'll be digging into some of those KPIs. And inventory management is here. We're very excited about it, but full on asset management, checking into, how much the value of your total stock. We're going to dive into tracking the movement, adding warehouses. So we'll get into it as well. Some of our third-party integrations, I'll highlight that we do work with QuickBooks Desktop as well as QuickBooks Online and Xero. So if you're using any of those accounting platforms, I highly recommend the plugin because it eliminates double data entry and allows all your financial activity to flow into your formal accounting software, whereas where it needs to land and reconcile at the end of the day. All right. Now, customer onboarding. If you guys are thinking about transitioning to DTools Cloud, rest assured, we got you. Changing the tires on a moving vehicle is what we do. So we have a dedicated team here to help you hit the ground running. These are just some ideas of things that we cover, but there's dedicated time and for you to switch lanes. Support. Everyone gets support. The nature of our software, we're here for you, and that's chat-based support. If you would like faster response times as well as an escalation path where we call and remote into your machine, that's goal support. So we do offer that as well. All right, so that's where we are with the product, and this is where we're headed. DTools Cloud has been on the market now for a good amount of years, but we know that there's still areas, and we're working very quickly to fill that. The mobile app, that's a native iOS app and Android for your technicians. So that's being actively developed. We have a lot of organizations that have multiple locations. So if you fall in that bucket, we're working on multi-office. And then we're not going to be stopping with visual quoting. We're going to continue to get more and more sophisticated with our drawing capabilities. Now, AI, we're being a little skeptical here. We do plan to incorporate that into the platform, but we want to make sure that we iron out all the details and get all the hallucinations taken care of and do it in a very responsible way. DTools Cloud has also been very prescriptive. You really can't customize it too much. I mean, the proposals, yes, but we've intentionally made this product more plug and play. And over time, it will become more and more customizable. And then we're going to also continue to report on data to allow you to continue to track what that activity means and the impact that it's having on your business on a daily basis. All right, so with that, we're going to hop into our demo today. Okay. So from inside the application, we're going to start on the Opportunities tab. So my goal today is to just give you, I'm going to cherry pick some of the more important or my favorite areas from the main navigation. And then we're going to go into an opportunity and flow it through the process. Sound good? All right. So on the opportunities tab, this is where the process really starts. And every column has been customized to be a stage in my sales process. So basically, you go into the More menu, these three little dots, and you define the milestones that you track in your sales process and you give it a weight. And at the end of the day, it has to equal 100%. So basically, you're dragging and dropping as the deal moves towards becoming sold. So leadership or management can see at a glance, where is it, who's working on it, and what is the next step in the process. This is very straightforward, but so effective. Now, when the customer engages with the proposal, you're going to get a notification. You're going to get a lot of notifications. So feel free to manage your notifications preferences in settings. You'll see when they click on it. You'll get emails and you'll also get your in app notifications. But when they accept your proposal, you'll take that opportunity card and you'll place it in your final stage. And then that is what's going to signal to us that you're ready to create a project. Now, we do have two products in the market. System Integrator is our flagship product. So if you're interested in a hybrid workflow, we can definitely discuss that with you, but we're going to keep it all DTools Cloud today. But we would create that project and it would drop it down to the projects tab where you would get another Kanban board that you would customize to define your post-sale process. So at a, at a high level, these two tabs should map out your customer journey. And doing that exercise makes the process a lot more repeatable. Now, another thing that happens when you convert an opportunity to a project is the bill of materials gets locked down. And that allows us to have this firm compare point to manage change. So you always know this is how we sold it. And then if the client decides that they change their mind, I know that happens never happens, but let's pretend. And or maybe I just made a little error, I forgot something, or I need to make a simple swap. Change orders are here. And external change is something that's typically client requested. Maybe they wanted to go with the 10-inch versus the 8-inch. Fine, we'll do that simple swap and we'll send them a proposal for the difference. All right, internal changes are non-billable. Like my example, I forgot to add a bracket. I'll just add it. It doesn't affect the dollar amount, but it does ensure that we have an accurate as-built bill of materials for this customer. All right, so any post-sale changes, we'll go and do a change order. Now, once you go into the project and start scheduling and creating your project plan, it bubbles up to the global project schedule. So here at a glance, you can see all of your activity. I can see my new project activity. I can see my service calls. That's because I choose to show my service events on my project calendar. So you have a lot of ways to get insight into the activity. I could see it by project, but you guys are busy, so this is important stuff. Coming down to service, this is where you'll manage your service contract renewals. You can see your service plan attachment rate and also how many service calls you have going on. And I didn't mention this before, but you can switch up your views. Every time there's a Kanban board, if you prefer a list view, you can always bounce between the two so that the interface is what you like. Here is that additional calendar. So you have a project calendar and you'll have access to a service calendar. But everyone wants one calendar, so you can, again, turn on or off as you like. And then this is where you'll manage your service contracts and the dollar amount and renewal dates of all your customers on your care packages. All right, on to procurement. So this dashboard is all things purchase orders, right? Um, Purchase orders created this month, total dollar amount of purchase orders. Now, this Kanban board is not customizable. So we've started to do a little bit of workflow automation. So if you take a purchase order and put it into the ordered column, all the equipment in that PO will be updated to the ordered state. And same with received. The only one that's still manual is partially received, right? So you have to actually go in there and update which ones have come in. Now, one of the newer features, since we're here, is tracking an item number on a per product basis within a purchase order, which helps this partially received state, right? It would be lovely if your POs were fulfilled with 100% of the items all the time. Um, if that doesn't happen, this allows you to be a little bit more granular and separate tracking numbers if things get delayed or any other reasons why you might want to track purchase orders on a per product basis. All right, ready to order. This is, again, a really nice feature. If you're inside of a project, every item has a status, right? All the way from unordered to installed. If you flag it as ready to order, it pulls it out to the main navigation right here. So if I'm your admin and I'm doing the ordering, I can just check this page maybe in the morning, maybe before I leave for the day, and make sure that if anyone's put anything on my board, I can get it done that day. So really nice, and I can order by project, right? I can filter down to a project and see what needs to happen. But this is all things ready to order. So great internal communication. Onto inventory. We're really excited about it. From this view, you can see the total amount of inventory that you have on hand. You can receive items into inventory, right? So you're scanning them into inventory. Hi. And so if you want to do that scanning in process, it's one by one. Use the camera on your phone. If you have a lot of inventory, you will go ahead and import those products to a CSV file. And that way we can quickly establish a lot of inventory items all at once. But on the product, you're looking at how much you have on hand. You are also setting your minimum stock and reorder quantity. So that's the low stock alerts that will let you know once you've hit that threshold of your minimum stock levels. And then the location of the product. So you're able to move it, and we get really granular here. You can see from the warehouse, zone, aisle, rack, shelf, bin. So we know where that product is. And then the history. We are tracking the movement of the equipment. So you can see where it's been. And this product, I actually didn't end up using it. So I checked it back into inventory after my task. So it's been returned. But really nice visibility into the activity of the equipment. All right. Now we're going to go into the catalog, working our way down. So far, so good. Now, one of the first things that we want you to do is connect to those brands. We talked about this in the beginning, but this is a list of the brands that I've connected to. So I can see the suppliers that have an API. We list those at the top and tag them as real-time pricing because there's an API in place. Now, if for whatever reason your brand doesn't have an API, that's okay. We still show you the cadence in which they update us. The whole point is we'll do the Excel spreadsheet upload, right? You don't have to do it. So to connect for the first time, you'll be going to the available pricing tab and hitting your this little plug request access icon. You will agree to your dealer specific pricing and connect. Each relationship that we build is unique. So they all ask for different criteria, but you'll follow the prompts and connect to your supplier. Once again, if you want us to do automatic updates, that's a setting. You can turn it on and we'll automatically keep your catalog and your pricing fresh, which is a really big deal, guys. And we hope that you guys are taking advantage of managed pricing. Okay, so let's move on. Here you can access and search the DTools library. Um, Now, keep in mind with setting up your catalog, there's a couple different ways you can do this. Some companies like to import every bit and bob that they've ever sold. Do your worst, up to 3,000 products at a time, and we'll create all the brands if we don't find a match. If we do find a match on model number and category, we'll add our supplementary data to it, like the images, the user guides, the cut sheets, all that stuff, and then we'll create a new product for you. All right, so that's my products. Now, the other option is to just start working, right? Setting up software is a drag, let's be honest. So just do your next quote inside of the DTools Cloud. Um, the items that you add from the library to a quote get added to your catalog. So basically, we can build out your database for you based on the items that you've quoted. And sometimes it's a welcomed housekeeping exercise. Like, let's just take a moment to get rid of some of the old stuff, and having the software automatically build out based on the quoting is great. All right. Now, labor. There's lots of different types of labor that you sell at different rates. So we're going to give you the installation. That's your default labor. You're going to enter in what it costs you and what you want to sell that for. And then you'll define the other types of labor. These end up being SKUs, like if you just want to add a labor line item. And then these same SKUs you can actually add onto a product. So depending on how granular you want to get, do your worst. We're here for it. Allowances are placeholders. They're not equipment and they're not labor, but the hope is it allows you to get scope and budget. So, use case. I am, let me see if I can, I'm in the field, I show up, and client says they want a large TV. I add a $5,000 placeholder. It could be $3,000. It could be the midpoint in the range of your display devices category. But the idea is I'll add that and I can say plus or minus 10%, you're looking at 5 grand for that size TV. And then I could replace it and specify the equipment later, but I leave that initial client meeting with scope and budget. So that's kind of the idea behind allowances. Or if you just want to leave yourself wiggle room and you don't want to make a product specific item, allowances work really well. Packages, still the number one way to automate your process. You can create multiple packages, just give it a name, a description, an image, and add your products. The cool part is when you add a package to a job or a quote, Anything you add or take away is at the customer level. It's not going to overwrite the global package that's in the catalog. And then if you make a change in the catalog, that change is going to flow through everywhere to all users. All right. Onto alternate sets. This is that good, better, best scenario tool. So perhaps I sell various sizes of TVs. The customer can pick the size of their TV. And don't worry, if each product is accessorized, just turn on keep accessories. So when they make the swap for the 98-inch, the correct mount to support that device will also make its way to the proposal. But really nice way to sell. And maybe it doesn't even have anything to do with price. Maybe maybe it's color, right? Customers love to pick their color. You sell the black, the white, and the almond, but you can have a little bit of fun and they can too. All right, and then we'll end on service plans. This is where you'll define all your service plans and monitoring agreements. Now, if the manufacturer has a service fee for that device or that system, because that's becoming a thing, you'd also create a service plan for that item. It's not your cost, but you're communicating that cost on behalf of the manufacturer. So things are getting real fun, right? But our software will is going to be there for you to make it a little bit easier. But creating a service plan is super simple. You give it a name, a description, a dollar amount, and then you start adding features. What is this customer going to get for $99 a month? Perhaps they get one service call a month, complimentary truck roll fees, priority scheduling, remote support, so you add these SKUs. If you don't see one that you need, your plan coverage details, that's your custom SKU, and then you add those items and you make up the plan features, right? That's what they're getting. And then you put your terms and conditions for the service contract because obviously they're different than the project. And then this is what it looks like on the proposal. So really nice and clean. And again, they're going to do both at the same time. Or you can just quote a service plan. If the client isn't on it and they call in and they want to get on one, you can send them a service plan quote. All right, we're going to hop over to billing, where we want to reconcile all your financial activity. So you'll be able to see total amount of revenue collected. This is your cash on hand. Um, and this payments due button is so nice, y'all. Just to be able to see how many people don't have we haven't requested payment from them yet. Ones that we have, ones that need attention, and shout out to clients that pay promptly. So you can really easily filter into your down to your payments activity. And then I'm going to go into my transactions report. And so you can see all your transaction and actually click into it and understand maybe why the payment failed. Was it insufficient funds? Is the expiration date wrong? And then once we work through, the funds get deposited, and you can also manage your chargeback. So full on merchant services within inside of DTools Cloud, and it all reconciles in QuickBooks. So nice. Time entries. So there's three areas where you can track time. You can make a general time entry. You can track time against a project, and then you can also track service time. So a lot of easy ways to filter. Maybe you want to see it by resource, by client, by project, by labor type, and then you're able to get your totals as needed. Now, one thing about tracking time that I will mention before we leave here is, let me go to add a time entry. When you set up your resources, make sure that you have an hourly cost for that resource. This will feed into your job costing reports. But if this is blank, you're going to wonder, why isn't the math mathing? It's because your resource isn't assigned an hourly cost. But you can do cost as well as burden. So burden allows you to capture additional costs for that employee, maybe, insurance, healthcare, things that benefits that you provide as an organization that impact the cost of that employee. And then you are all locked and loaded to have your accurate job costing reports. All right. And then last but certainly not least, we're going to end on reports. So some of the KPIs that you can expect here in sales results, you can always filter by duration, salesperson, the type of project, the type of quote, building type, lead source to analyze the activity. So this is my total amount of sales closed. I wish that were real. My average dollar amount of my sale and my average margin. So you could have conversations like, Chanel's margin should be at, we really want to be at 30%. Let's dig in and see how we can help get her there, things like that. Close rate, 92% close rate, not too bad. The amount of quotes I've created, shared, and signed, and the average days to send, as well as the average day in my sales cycle. You can drill down to sales, sales by product category. This is a newer report. Really excited to now show you your activity on a category level. We do a lot of things at the category level, accessorize, um, icons. So more of that benefit. And then just seeing my sales by lead source. Maybe the majority of our business is referral. Maybe it's coming from the website. We don't know. Now we can get some data on it. Discounts is a newer area that we're tracking. You can go into settings and create your company sanctioned discounts, and you can see the amount of discounting, and that's happening over time. And then we track lost data too. Super valuable to know why we're losing business. Looking ahead into the sales forecast, it's pretty much self-explanatory. So I'll just let you guys look at the dashboard. All right, good stuff. So now we're going to go into an opportunity and just work one all the way through to service. So here's my residential quote. Now, these cards, think of them as one place to track all the action that we need and keep it organized. So I'm going to click on the card and it brings me into the opportunity details. So the information that we entered about the client, I have my quote, I can make notes or at mention my teammates. So Cloud is really big on internal communication. So at mentioning Allison, we'll send her a one-time email notification that I need her help. If I were to add Allie in the upper right-hand corner, she would be permanently looped in to all the action. So one time, all the time. And then I could also schedule my next step. I need to call this client tomorrow and send me a little email reminder to execute on that. And then you get a thread of activity, which is really nice because things change and they change pretty quickly. So every user has their own footprint. And if someone moves the close date or deletes the drawing, it's going to show up in the activity feed as well. So now let's go into the quote. and we're going to look at some of the different ways that you can put quotes together. I'm going to go over to design, and you land on the list view. So that's one way to approach the quoting process. You list out your locations or your systems or your phases. It doesn't matter which one, it's just how you like to work. So more, if you prefer working from a system standpoint, you just click on systems. Locations, you do the same. And my security people will always go to category. They want to know how many door and window contacts, and that's a great space for that. And then you start searching for equipment and adding items. So when you search, you're always searching your favorite items. You can flag items as favorites. You're searching items that are in your catalog, and you're searching the DTools library. Once again, any information that you pull from us, the next time the user goes to search for it, it will be in your catalog. So you add a product. If you have accessories, it'll bring it along. And I have an alternate set on this product. So once again, client can choose, right, between all these different touchscreens. Now, you also can make products optional. So maybe this is something that I'm throwing in and I made it a client selectable option. So it's not counted in the bottom line. But if the client decides to add it, great. If they don't decide to add it, I don't have to remove it from the bill of materials. They can complete the transaction without the back and forth. So those are some of the more fun properties of the proposal. Now, the other method that you can quote is visual. So I'm going to go over to visual, and you're prompted to upload your floor plan, or you can create your own floor plan and search for products. So let me go ahead and let's just add something. Let's add a TV. Oh, let's add that large TV that I had in my allowances. So I don't know what TV this customer wants, but we're going to add the large one. And I'm going to put that right there. So it adds it to my drawing, and it also adds it to my bill of materials. So this is visual quoting. And at any time during the sales process, I can replace this placeholder with the actual TV that the customer will like. And it kind of knows the ones you like to use. So you'll be getting your suggestions. And then I would specify the TV, right? And that changes it from my placeholder to the actual TV that we're going to sell this customer. Now, I went a little bit over budget, but they'll be fine. They can afford it. So this is a way that we want you to have a little bit of fun and capture scope and budget. Now, if you are doing this in the field, you can turn on client mode. So client mode allows you to, have a more collaborative experience. But if they hover or look at the tablet, it's not going to show your markup. It's only going to show them the final price. So that's visual. Now, I also have a double chevron tab here on my left. And this is the list quote. So this is the best of both worlds. You can actually add locations here, or if you've already done the location, you could drag and drop and decide to display it here. So it doesn't really matter what path you choose. At the end of the day, it's one bill of materials and one output of a proposal, right? And on this ring camera, I'm going to turn on my coverage shapes. And this is great for camera coverage, Wi-Fi coverage. It's a Ring doorbell, so they might be able to see. Well, let me put that right here, right? It's probably going to go on the outside. um, all right. So, maybe you want to recommend a better camera for more security that allows them to see this much, right? So these are some of the things that this document allows you to, kind of talk about through the client and they can see it and it makes sense and we're good. But that is visual quoting. You can also draw, add text. This could be as internal or as external as you'd like. And then the final quoting style is image quoting. And you're taking pictures anyhow when you're in the field. I'm going to browse out to a photo. But if you're taking pictures, this allows you to link those photographs to a location or create a new location and will organize your photos. So it's the little things. If you keep on linking it to a location, and then in the kitchen, I could do the same thing, right? I could drag and drop from the bill of materials, or I could search for new products or packages or allowances and get this client a number before I leave. And this one is just really nice for retrofit projects and showing the customer what that finished installation looks like. All right, so we've done our quoting. We're happy, I hope. And we're going to go on to service plans. So I'm going to add a service plan. So the newer feature is to add multiple plans, but I'm going to leave just the one. And then we would review this. And taking just 5 minutes before you send it to the customer to make sure that your margins are healthy and it's a profitable opportunity for the business is so nice. My favorite report, if you want a quick way, is just to go to product versus labor and see it graphically. This will let you know how much of the budget is equipment and how much of the budget is labor. So even though my project is 44% margin, I'm not making enough. I have grossly underbid my time. We're looking at least 70-30 split here. So now you can kind of drill down and see maybe I'm going to charge this customer more. Maybe I'm going to use my difficulty factor and double it. But ways to get it more in line to have it make sense. And then we're going to present this proposal to the customer. So this is what the proposal looks like. Tons of customization options. We're just going to go through mine. Galleries, you can hyperlink these. This one's kind of fun. The pictures appear on hover, but full on multimedia. And if multimedia isn't your preference, you can still download them and send them in the traditional way. Project descriptions. Now, if you take time to do the visual quote, it does, you can browse out to it and include it with your documentation. You can also include it when tasking a technician. So all the pre-sales documents can be leveraged for post-sale as well. We even allow for 360-degree photos, so you can have a little fun. And then it goes into the line item. And everyone has their preference. Do we show line item pricing? Do we not? I'm a fan of not, but the choice is yours. And then you'll save all these tweaks as your proposal template. So now the client can see, and yeah, they want to ball out. They're going to get the 10-inch, and a little footer will appear that you've made two changes, resulting in a price difference of $422. So they kind of move through. They can see this is optional. They want that too. They can click on the proposal. It's an option if you want them to see the resources. You can also add your own resources for them to peruse here. It's just one less email, and we're presenting it in the right place at the right time. I'm going to come down to service. So here's my service plan. You set up your contract lengths and your billing frequency. I have chosen to give this client these two options. So they could pay monthly and commit to a year, or they could commit to a year and decide to give me that cash up front to save a little bit. And they'll agree to the terms and conditions. And then they get a breakdown, product labor. I charge a design fee. My miscellaneous materials are shop charges, which is mine is set up to capture 3% of the product total. Subtotal, tax, price of the plan. And then here is my payment terms, and the client will electronically accept and sign the proposal. So with that, once my proposal is accepted, if you're using DTools payments, we want to close that sales gap, right? We want them to now enter in their credit card and pay the initial deposit. So they can do that, and they can see what they're paying, and also that there's $547 worth of convenience fees that they will pay to use their credit card. They can either do that, or they can pay via ACH or eCheck by entering in their routing number. So really nice options here. Now, if there are recurring items on the proposal, like the plan, the client will have the option to enroll in autopay, where we will bill them, we'll capture that recurring payment for you if they enroll in autopay. So really nice. And now I can see that this just lets you know what we presented and the changes, the client selectable options that so they added $714 to my bottom line from the proposal. Yay, we love that. Okay, so we've captured payment, and just to hop right to DTools payments, just so you guys can see from the billing tab, here is that 18 grand that we just captured through DTools payments. So now that the client has paid, I'm going to take this opportunity and we're going to create a project. I know we're coming up on our time, but if you guys hang in another 15 minutes, we'll take it all the way. So at this stage, the first thing that we want you to do is send this over to QuickBooks Online as an estimate. Some organizations, DTools Payments is enough. If you are running QuickBooks as your formal accounting tool, we want to keep this information flowing so that it all reconciles in QuickBooks. So now you're looking at the project plan, and this is what we hope to be your PM's dream dashboard. What needs to happen once you create your project plan? All the key dates and milestones will be listed here. What's changed? Have they paid us? What's the status of this item? What's the install status? Service plan, different types of labor sold, and we sold this job at 16 hours. So again, once we clock in and out, we're going to be tracking. So as things start to progress, this dashboard changes. So let's make a call. I'm going to hop over to the details section, and we paid through DTools payments, so that's great. And let's just say their service plan starts today. So again, here is some of that data. They've paid 80% of their bill. And their service plan kicks in. But every project starts with a project plan, which is a list of tasks. What do you want to do? When is it due? And who's responsible for it? But if you have a recipe, build it once or build multiple and use them over and over again. We want to make this as formulaic as possible. So I do these 13 things every time we sell a job. I invoice, I order, I walk the site. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to schedule this pre-wire task because I want to block off the time and make sure that I at least have my preferred resource for this task. So I've scheduled the pre-wire task. Now I'm going to go into, well, before that, just to show you the details of the task, they're part of my template, but you give it a description, checklist items are subtasks, and then if you want to attach any documentation, so this is where you'll do it. If you want to bring in that image from the image quote, we can put it here as a reference for the technician. But now I'm going to hop over to details and sort my equipment. From the item status tab, this is where you're going to be managing the bill of materials for this job. And you could filter a lot of different ways so you can approach the project management piece the way that you want. So you could work from location, same brand, supplier, system. I'm just going to cherry pick. So every item has an order status. So you could just come in and say, this product is ready to order. Remember that tab that sits on the main navigation? This puts this Ring doorbell on that list for this customer to get ordered. Now you can place the PO from here. I'm going to go to this purchase order, and then you just select the product and you order it. It's going to say, hey, Chanel, you have a drafted PO for Speakercraft. Do you want to amend it? Yes, absolutely. We want to get as much as we can on one purchase order. Or for whatever reason, you might want to break it apart, but the software is always going to try and get as much as we can on one PO. So I have this is our project, and I also have Ali's project, one PO going over to Nice. So you could send this purchase order to QuickBooks, or you can actually just hit send PO and it will land in the supplier contacts inbox for this purchase order. But that's how you create a PO. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, we've ordered this product. And that product is also flagged and attached to the product inside of the bill of materials for the project, which is really nice. So let's just say this came in. And you're just managing the BOM that way. For those companies that keep stock, let's work through your workflow. You can see the items that are stock items, what's required, how many you have available in inventory, and what we're going to do is we're going to reserve one for this project. I only need the one. So that product has been reserved for my residential job, and you'll work through your BOM that way. When you're ready, the scheduling tab is right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit schedule, and then I'm just going to add that product. I'm just going to cherry pick a couple. It doesn't really, just to show you there. We'll pick those three and we'll schedule the work. Here are my list of tasks, and then I'll add the equipment to the task. Right? So this ends up being the digital pick list for the technician, and it's tied to the task. So if I pop on my pre-wire task, now I have equipment here, and it will update the item status from the field. All right, so we've scheduled. I'm going to back it up. Everything you do in a project will make its way to the main navigation. So here's our schedule. And I'm going to switch from an office user to a field user. So we have two types of users. Your office is your main core user. Field users are technicians, and they're in the field and busy and have a limited capability. right? We don't want to give them too much out here. But they log in, and there's a couple of things that technicians can do. Of course, they can see their dashboard with all the activity that they have to execute on. They can track time, and they can also see their schedule, what's on the docket for today, and bounce between other days as they plan out their week. But from the dashboard, they're able to clock in, and that's going to start the clock and start chipping away at the overall amount of time that was sold for this job. But we're going to go into our task. It's Google Mapped hyperlinked to help them get to the job site. They would have a description here and your checklist tasks. These tasks are great. They're also great on service for, like your troubleshooting best practices. But I run the wires, I did that, and I'm going to update the status of the equipment. So this is me checking it out in essence, and that product is installed. Now, if I added, here's that documentation, the picture that I attached, that's here, and the activity. From here, they could also mention anyone in the office. Now, they could FaceTime Allie. But the benefit of doing it inside the application is that it's attached to the customer record back in the office view. So they could mention their teammate, loves, very happy, and I could make a note. And I can also take a photo. This is the beautiful rack that I did, you know, before and after. Those are great. And again, all this action makes its way back. So I'm going to mark my task as completed. And that's it. We're going to go ahead and check out from this job. All right. So we completed our task, and I'm going to switch back to my Office user view, and we're going to go into our project. And now we're really making way. We've completed one task. I haven't done any change orders yet. We still have our 80% received. I've installed 100% from that task. I have one of 13 tasks, and I wasn't there for long, but you can see that I've consumed some time. Now, as an office person, I can always come in and modify that time entry. Maybe she made an error. She was actually there for 2 hours, not 2 minutes. And come back and see the impact of that on the overall budgeted hours. So that's the details section. And then onto payments. When all work is complete, you'll go ahead and make a new payment request to that customer. If you're using DTools Payments, they can pay directly from the payment request. If not, you would send this as an invoice over to QuickBooks and invoice your customer from QuickBooks. All right. And that is the project flow. So last thing we'll do today, if you're up for it, we can do a service call. So I'm going to go to service, and I'm going to say customer calls in. Let's just say this is Seth calls in. And we'll put their email, their phone number, contact name, issue reported, sun cracked TV with skateboard. All right. Now, if he were on a service plan, let's let me put this address in first. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right. So now we've created the service call. Issue reported. If you were associated to a service contract, I could do that here. Not to bounce around, But if you have an existing customer that wants to hop on a plan, there's a little drop down here where you can create a new service opportunity. So it doesn't need equipment and ask you for all the details like a traditional project. You're just going to add your service plan and send. Really nice shortcut. So I'm going to find my, let's go back to service call 74. Issue reported, I can give it a priority. My checklist for service, did you restart? Is it plugged in? You know, all the all the best practices. And you set up your service windows in settings. I'll do this window, and it will automatically filter to your available resources, but I'm going to allow me to double book myself, and we'll notify the client that their service call is scheduled, and then we'll schedule the service call. So set this service call 74, and I'm going to now switch back to my office field user again. And here is that service call. We're going to clock in and view it. So the issue reported, and I'm going to paste that in the issue found. Yes, the TV's cracked. I want to mention snippets. They're really fun. Whenever you see this text menu, you can insert snippets. You can have global ones, user-specific ones, but it's a great way to automate text throughout the application. So issue found and an action taken. I'm going to replace the TV. Now, what's nice about these fields is that it makes its way to the invoice that the customer will pay. So it kind of gives them a little synopsis of what actually happened. Checklists, yes, I did that. There's nothing I can do for a cracked screen. So I'm going to go ahead, and you have two workflows. There's a repair and a replace. We're going to take that one, and I'm going to search for the TV that the client has. A lot of users also make a generic item. Just if the TV might be too old, it might not be here. So you can have like a generic TV to signal that it's an old TV. And then we're going to search for the TV that I am replacing. All right, so let's do that one. All right, original product, replacement product. We're going to continue. Do I want to do more stuff? I'm going to go ahead and make my way to the work summary. All right, and now total amount of hours worked. This is the technician clocking in and out. I'm going to say I was here for 2 hours. I'm a junior tech. All right, it takes me 2 hours to replace the TV. And I can also capture my drive time. Let's just say that was 1 hour, 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. So this is internal. The labor summary, this is office. The office will tweak this as needed, but the tech can just enter in their drive time. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this service call and have the customer accept and sign. All right, so he's going to accept and sign. And mark off that all work is complete. And I've finished my service call. So let's go back to the office view, go to service. We'll find my service call and just recap what we did. I'm going to go over to my work summary. So I worked 2 hours in the office. They'll choose, was that emergency service or a standard service? Let's just say it was a standard service call. And she was there for 2 hours. All right. and you can add any additional labor that you'd like to add. My truck roll fee, my drive time fee, and then it brought us to 3 hours because that includes my 1 hour of drive time. Here's my time entry for the technician and the two products. And you can always edit this. It's $5.99, but maybe we're just gonna charge them 6 grand, right? But that's pretty much it. And now it's ready for payment request. This is also going to be rebranded as invoice in the very soon. So keep an eye out for that. But we're going to send this payment request. And then if you want some automation, it will simultaneously create this as an invoice in QuickBooks. So keeping that information flowing and recap of what's happened. All right, so that pretty much brings our what's new to an end. Quick recap, we talked about the DTools library and all the tools there to help automate your process. Did some sales, pipeline management, quoted it up, won the job, managed the equipment, scheduled it for my technician, and now reporting on how successful we are. We're going to end on job costing. So here you can look at your job costing reports and see your revenue earned and your revenue backlog. Again, how to track the performance of the business compared to how you're estimating. We hope you walked away with some good ideas on how DTools Cloud can help streamline your business process. Thanks for joining, and we hope to see you at a future webinar.